thrill me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
It's Review It Man, reviewing what he can. Movies are his jam, so let's get twisted, man. It's Review It Rob. Hey yo, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Review It Rob Show. I am your host, Review It Rob, of course, coming at you with so much fun this episode, man. I got two reviews for you of two films that couldn't be any further apart from each other, even though one does get a little menacing, and the other one is definitely menacing. But I will be talking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always and Evil Dead Rise, both spoiler-free, of course, because on the Review It Rob Show, I don't spoils, babies. Appreciate you joining in and listening to the show. As always, please hit that like, subscribe, share, rate, wherever you can rate the show, all that good stuff, man. Appreciate you always tuning in here. Give us a follow on the Thrill Me Podcast Network, especially over on our YouTube. Hit that like, subscribe, and share there. I dropped a couple of video game streams, did a 2-hour WWE 2K stream showing off the Steiner Row pack. That is Rick and Scott Steiner and the Hit Row group. Showed that off. Had a fun, fantastic time. Had some really cool matches on there as well that surprised me while I was playing. I'm like, oh man, this is really entertaining and awesome. Glad this happened. So you can check that out on our YouTube. Again, that's the Thrill Me Podcast Network YouTube. You can see that. Trailer reactions. We got one coming up, I believe, very soon for you this week. We should have one up for you. All kinds of other goodies over there. The Metal Groove has a new episode out. We've got Core Memory Unlock dropping some stuff. We got Mr. Wonderful's stuff. We got all kinds of goodies going on the Thrill Me Podcast Network, man. So make sure, again, that you please like and subscribe and share that network with us. We appreciate you. Now let's just go ahead and not bury the lead. Let's jump into these reviews, man. The last couple episodes been doing double reviews, man. So kicking off with the first film I saw, which was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. That's right, the 30th anniversary Mighty Morphin event that hit Netflix earlier last week. It is an action-adventure film running in at 55 minutes, man. 55 minutes. The fact that I said that at 1 minute, 55 seconds is amazing. But yes, 55 minutes. Not long at all. Feels like an extended episode, right? Because the show was about, 20 some odd minutes. So here you go. Extended episode here. 30 years after the wise and powerful Zordon formed the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the team comes face to face with a familiar threat from the past. In the midst of a global crisis, they are called on once again to be the heroes the world needs. 30th anniversary special is inspired by the legendary mantra from the franchise itself: once a Ranger, always a Ranger, meaning once you become part of the Ranger family, you will always be welcome back. All right, so let's jump into those scores. Again, remember, I just provide these to let you know that everybody has different feelings about films, so you can allow it to feel however you want. Rotten Tomatoes critic score is at, was it a 92%? It is down to an 87%, but still very high. And then the audience score right now is at 89%, while IMDb is kicking this at 6.1 out of 10. So what were my thoughts on this thing? And let me tell you, man, I am a huge Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan. Like, it was one of the first things I ever loved in life that, growing up. It was this and the WWF at that time. Now, of course, WWE. Like, those are the two things I just loved growing up as a kid. And the Power Rangers just encompassed everything for me, man. You watch that show, you got all the colors, you got the freaking fireworks going off, you got the over-the-top action scenes, you got the Zords fighting each other, Zords fighting grown evil things. Awesome, right? Fun for a kid like myself growing up when that show came out. Love that. Love the film. Always just been in love with the Power Rangers, right? So especially the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and all that. And I even enjoyed the film that came out, I want to say, 2017? Enjoyed that as well. So when they announced the special, I was like, heck freaking yeah, dude. This is awesome. 30-year celebration of this classic show that I loved growing up. Can't wait to see it. Saw the trailer. Saw we've got, David Yost back. We got, why am I blanking? I'm blanking with names. Walter, Emmanuel Jones. We got them back from the original show. Billy and Zach are back in this one. We also saw in the trailer that Karen is back as Aisha. Johnny Young is back as Adam. We got Catherine Sutherland back as Catherine. We've got Steve back as Rocky, man. We got all these classic Rangers back. Now, of course, the main thing you probably notice is that Jason David Frank was not in it. This was shot before his sad passing, but he wasn't a part of it as well. Amy Jo Johnson decided to not be a part of this event either. And I'm assuming that's the same thing that happened with our original Red Ranger, Austin St. John. Yes, he didn't want to be a part of it either. And you can kind of notice that when you're watching it, how they only show those Rangers in the suits, which the suits still look great. I don't give a flark what anybody says, man. Those suits still look fantastic. Um, People talk about, you can upgrade here, there. It still plays for me, nostalgia wise. And even though I did like that 2017 movie, those suits very Iron Manish. I like this classic vibe of the suits and having that, and it feels right, right. So it was cool. It was a cool experience to jump back in that world. The story. Revolves around, you probably saw it in the trailer, we got Rita coming back. Rita kills Trini. Again, all in the trailer, so this is not spoilers. And then, of course, the rest of the movie is Trini's daughter wanting to become a ranger to avenge her mother's death. Now, of course, we sadly lost Toy a long time ago, years ago. So it was nice to see them pay tribute to her and making her the focal point of the story. Focal point, gotta love it. Focal point of the story, gotta love it. That's a classic Power Rangers line. So it was cool to see that. It was nice to see the addition of, let's see, what's her name? Charlie, who plays Trini Kwan's daughter in the film. It was cool to see that. It was cool to see that dynamic and see her wanting to become a ranger. I thoroughly enjoyed this, man. Like, this was everything that I could have hoped it would have been. Obviously, you'd want the original Rangers to be there, but they didn't want to be a part of it for whatever reason here or there. So be it. I personally still enjoyed the film overall. Again, it's 55 minutes, so it's an exaggerated episode of the show, if you will. It plays off just like the show as well. Kind of the same action scenes, the same look, the same vibe, the same acting, the same, quippy one-liner things that they drop in there. Very enjoyable. If you're a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan, if you grew up with that show like I did, it's like there's no way you wouldn't enjoy this show. I don't think. It's a blast from start to finish. Quickly got through it. Enjoyed every single moment of it. It's what I would have hoped it could have been. So, seeing that on Netflix where you can watch the other Power Rangers, you can watch the original show. I think you can watch multiple other seasons of Power Rangers on there. So seeing all of that on there and seeing them doing this again, it's been fantastic. I don't know what the future is. There's some kind of opening there. They could probably go somewhere, especially if we're introducing, Trini's daughter and all that. And it's received relatively well reactions. Again, a high 80s critic score and audience score high in the 80s as well. So it's extremely possible that they could do something. We'll have to see, wait in time and see where and how and what they would want to create there. Of course, like I mentioned, we lost Toy a long time ago. Jason we lost last year. Some of the Rangers didn't want to be a part of it, so we'll see what happens future-wise if they want to jump back into this or do anything new. I mean, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers still a franchise. It seems to be a viable franchise that people still think about. Again, in my age range, that's very nostalgia and everything. You've got the Ninja Turtles still out there, kicking out the jams and all that stuff. So why not continue to make Power Ranger stuff, especially if it's being received well enough here? Why not? You got Netflix, it's something that could probably drive people to watch on Netflix. Because again, I'm not really a Netflix guy. Like, it's got to be something special, which has been Stranger Things, and then Wednesday more recently, and then this. Like, I don't open Netflix too often, so got to be something special to get me there. And they have their original films sometimes, which I'll check out, but mostly it's got to be something huge for me to get there. And this was it, man. So if they did more stuff, I'd be absolutely 100% on board with it, ready to watch it, and all of my happiness to see the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So if you got Netflix, go ahead and check it out, man. So now let's take this hard, sharp turn to our other film review on this episode. Rita is evil. There's no doubt about it. Rita is evil. And, I mean, death and all that stuff in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers special, that was wild. That was a pretty wild scene there. But we are going from there to a much more evil entity in Evil Dead Rise, a film that is rated R for strong, bloody horror violence. Of course, it's an Evil Dead film. Core, of course, it's an Evil Dead film and some language. The movie is categorized as a horror mystery thriller. I don't know about the mystery part, but it is very much a horror thriller film running in at 1 hour, 37 minutes, breezy time there. And it is, of course, only in theaters at the moment. In the fifth Evil Dead film, a road weary Beth pays an overdue visit to her older sister Ellie, who is raising 3 kids on her own in a cramped LA apartment. The sisters' reunion is cut short by the discovery of a mysterious book giving rise to flesh-possessing demons. Yada, yada, yada. You saw the trailer, you already knew some of that stuff was going to happen there. And again, if you've seen an Evil Dead movie, it plays out like an Evil Dead movie. Rotten Tomatoes has the critic score at 85%, while the audience score is sitting at an 80%. Now, what were my thoughts on the film? Let me go with you here. So, Evil Dead is a horror franchise that I know of, but I haven't paid a ton of attention to. For instance, first Evil Dead thing I ever saw was the new film, because the director recently came out and said it's not a remake. So the film in 2013, Evil Dead. And circling back real quick, IMDb 7.3 out of 10. All right, back into it. So, Evil Dead 2013, that was the first time I ever saw an Evil Dead film, and really, honestly, enjoyed it. I had a very good time with that movie. Gory, ridiculous, insane, just fun time, right? After that, I eventually saw the original film, the Evil Dead movie. Came out, what was that, the early 80s? Yeah, I feel like it was, yeah, here we go, 81. So I finally watched that movie, and it was fine. You see what it was for that time. But, you got the vibe after seeing those two movies. They're demonic zombie films, that like to show off gore and, get a little wild, man, which isn't a knock by any means. But other than that, I didn't dive into the Evil Dead franchise anymore. I haven't seen Army of Darkness. I haven't seen the TV show. I haven't seen the second Evil Dead movie. Like it never called to me. It was never like a calling for me. But I did really enjoy that 2013 film. So when I heard this movie was announced, I'm like, all right, cool, that's interesting. And I saw that trailer, I'm like, I'm in. Especially the Red Band trailer, I'm like, let's go, dude. Because again, Evil Dead has that typical beat to it. Like I was playing along with when reading the synopsis there. Oh, gory? Yep, that's an Evil Dead film. Over the top violence? Yep, that's an Evil Dead film. And watching the movie recently, an hour and 30 minutes, and it went by very quickly. Now, this movie is different from the other Evil Dead films that I've seen in the sense of that movie that came out in 81 is like 5 friends at a cabin, you know, stuff goes haywire. The 2013 film, kind of the same idea, 5 friends at a cabin, but this time they had the brother-sister dynamic, so they had a little bit of family dynamic in there. This movie, way on family dynamic, it is, as we talked about in the synopsis there, sisters, after a long overdue reuniting, and then things go insane in the apartment, which it's an apartment now, not a cabin. So cool change of scenery, which gives you the idea of more can happen in the future with the Evil Dead, because now we're moving around in places and all that stuff. Still questions about how certain things happen to get there and all that, but again, spoiler free episode, so I will not talk about that. But overall, I did enjoy the film. I think what they gave us was very again, I haven't seen all the Evil Dead franchise, but it lives up to the rest of the franchise. It has that strong bloody violence. It has that gore and all that. But I did like the family story of it, and the aspect of trying to protect the family from the evil that you think you would never have to protect them from. And I hope that makes sense without me spoiling anything. And if you saw the trailer, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, again, the trailer's out there. The mom is the one that gets, the demonic possession book deadite thing, and she is fantastic. Alyssa Sutherland is fantastic as the deadite. She's fantastic as the deadite. Pulls it off great. The rest of the cast, very strong, very good. We've got kids involved here, so I kind of mentioned it with the last review with the Pope's Exorcist. When you have kids in horror movies, it can go many different ways, but it played out very well throughout this film. I think all three of them did a really good job with their characters, especially the youngest child, Cassie. She fantastic. What's the actress's name? Nell Fisher. Look out for her. As long as nothing happens, she could be a future because she was fantastic in that movie. Like, I mean, I can't imagine being that age. I don't know what age she is, but she's a little kid. I can't imagine being that age on the set of a horror film and seeing all this stuff going on around you. Um, but she plays it so well and does a fantastic job. And again, the whole cast is really solid, and the story works. Like, it works to where they need to get to. You don't need like a big, heartfelt story, with an Evil Dead film, if you ask me, because again, you know what we're there for. Kind of like how Saw got, what we're there. We're there for the traps, right? Or when I was watching NASCAR races this week. When you watch those big restrictor plate races, you're there to see the crash, and that's the idea of watching these Evil Dead films. You're there to see what insanity happens and what over the top gore you're going to get there. Because sometimes you just want to watch a gory movie, right? Um, but it does work very well. The story is good. It does a great job. Again, we've got the family aspect, which adds that heart to it that makes it work very well. And it's portrayed very well throughout all of our characters. I think the story is understandable. I don't think you need to really see any other Evil Dead film to get it. You can, even though this is the fifth film in the franchise, I mean, again, I'm not a diehard here, but the tie-ins are very loose to me, so you can get away without seeing any of the other Evil Dead films. You can go into this movie and be like, oh, okay, I get what's going on. I see what's happening here, because they explain it. And you don't need any more than that. They help you get to that point while watching the movie. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't know ranking wise where I'll put it right now. Everything's kind of you know running into each other at this point. Megan and Super Mario Brothers, those are up top, and then the rest are just there for me to figure out at a later time. But I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed the film, and we'll see what the future holds for the franchise. I know Bruce Campbell recently said, when asked about it, he said, "We're going to try to do them more likely every 2 or 3 years rather than every 10 years." It's also the first time Sam is working with his brother Ivan to create an overall Bible that will give future writers and directors an idea of where this thing should go next to potentially tie in some of these stories. So I think it's going to get a little more tied in as the years go by, but because it's all about the books, it could be a book in the past, a book in the future. It's yet to be determined. Which, like, Bruce Campbell's the face of the franchise without even being in the movie, But anytime an Evil Dead thing happens, he's not too far behind. So there you go, and definitely a future. So next 2 or 3 years, let's be on the lookout for another Evil Dead film, which will be fine. Why not? Like I said, we're always here for a bloody good time, are we not? All right, so going from there, let's jump into DC talk. Remember, every single episode of the Review at Rob show has mandatory DC and horror film news. News. The biggest thing, of course, happening with DC this week is the Flash film is debuting at CinemaCon. That is happening this week as well. There's a new trailer expected out the same day this episode primary releases, Tuesday. So trailer may already be out by the time you've watched this, and our trailer reaction will probably be out by the time you watch this. We are planning a trailer reaction for that, and of course, I'll probably have a trailer reaction just in case, because again, it's The Flash. It's my most anticipated film of the year. I love The Flash. Favorite superhero. I have no problems with Ezra Miller. Michael Keaton's back. We got Sasha Calle being Supergirl. Like, all of it's going to be awesome. All of it's going to be awesome. Highly anticipated this film. Love DC. Love The Flash. All that stuff, man. So can't wait to see what the outcome is from this already. I shared it with my friend group chat that we have. That the machetes, Andy and Barbara. It's not his wife; it's his sister. Yikes! I messed that up. Barbara. Those two just won an award for for the Flash film already, and that's just the beginning of awards. It sounds like for that film, because that film is highly anticipated this year by more than just me. So that's the big thing going on with DC right now. Other news going around DC, I talked about this on the last week's episode, how the Russo brothers talked about doing a Batman film. Well, not too long after that episode happened, the Russo brothers have clarified that they do not want to do a Batman film. However, they did clarify that they would love to work with James Gunn, saying, quote, "We love James Gunn. We adore him. We support everything he's doing over there at DC. We'd be happy to work with him at any point, but it wouldn't be Batman," end quote. But yeah, why not? Let's see them, do something. Why not just bring, whatever you want to bring in here, to see what they're going to do DC wise. Like, I'm into it. I'm excited for all of it. Can't wait to see what else they decide to throw at us, because it's so awesome, man. It is fun times. Let's see. Other news going on. James Gunn was asked about Static Shock, if there's still plans for Static Shock going in the future, to which James Gunn replied to that Twitter user with simply saying yes. James Gunn is very busy doing the press for Guardians of the Galaxy, which comes out next week. Yes, next week. No movie this week, right? I'll have to double check that. But, it's NFL draft week, babies. I am excited for that. So let's check out what movie is coming out this week, that's how the show works. I get twisted all over the place. All right, so let's see. Flashdance is back in theaters. You want to go see that? Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Big George Foreman, The Miraculous Story of Once and Future Heavyweight Champion of the World. Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi is back in theaters. All right, so yeah, looks like it's a week of re-releases. And on the streaming side, looks like you got Peter Pan and Wendy. So yeah, not a busy week at movie theater wise. So, that makes sense. I don't even know how I got there, but yeah, Static Shock stuff. Jeez, say that 5 times fast. Is on the way. Is in the plans, according to James Gunn. Final bit of DC talk that's been happening this week is Ana de Armas has addressed rumors that she is the Wonder Woman for the DC universe. To which she said, quote, "Well, I feel like Gal Gadot is doing a great job. I think she should keep doing that," end quote. Now, love Ana de Armas, and I think she would be great as Wonder Woman without a doubt. But I don't think Gal is being replaced at all. I've talked about this multiple times on the show. I'm pretty sure it's all but confirmed, or pretty much confirmed, that Gal is Wonder Woman in the DC universe. Like, it seems like she and Jason Momoa are the ones carrying over Henry and Ben Arnett, and Ezra is a question mark. Just because, they said they'll revisit that after Ezra gets done with the mental health aspect of things again. We'll see how things pan out that way. If you do the research, we know that Ezra did not commit the things that's being talked about, but that's not something I want to dive into right now, because it just annoys me having to deal with people that don't look things up. But it'd be interesting to see if Ezra's at the CinemaCon as well. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. We'll see if Ezra shows up to that or not. I think Ezra's, again, mental health treatment is the most important thing, so let's focus on that. Now, again, I like Ana de Armas. I think she would be great, but I think it's pretty much a sure bet that Gal Gadot is still the Wonder Woman until, James Gunn tells us different, which is, again, just wait. They will announce the casting. We don't have to sit here and, drive ourselves crazy and make up these wild, ridiculous rumors about who is or who isn't, playing who and all that. They'll let us know. It's okay. It's okay. All right, jumping over to horror, the movie adaptation of Stephen King's 1973 story, The Boogeyman, is heading to the big screens in June, and test screenings are apparently making it be recut. Now, The Boogeyman follows the story of high school student Sadie and her sister Sawyer, who are in mourning after their mother's recent death. Meanwhile, after a desperate patient shows up unexpectedly at their house asking for help with their therapist father, they soon become haunted by a terrifying monster. Quote about these recuts: "The first time you see the creature, the audience screamed so loud and then immediately started talking with their neighbors and chatting that they completely missed the next line, so we had to recut it and build in 45 seconds of padding just so they didn't miss any vital information. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad problem to have, right? If the creature's so scary that it's freaking people out, then they have to immediately talk to the person sitting next to them. Not a bad thing. Um, let's see. They also said that Stephen King wrote back, sent an email about the film and saying how, good it was and all that stuff. The Boogeyman hits theaters June 2nd. Speaking of horror movies that are hitting viewing, Scream 6 is hitting digital and Paramount Plus. Again, same day this show releases. So again, if you're listening to the show later in the week, not Tuesday, the day that it drops, it's already available for you. Scream 6, if you want to check it out, is there. I am, honestly more excited to see Scream 6 again than I was to see the last Scream movie. I did thoroughly enjoy this movie more. So yeah, I'll probably be checking that out sometime later this week. Let's see. All right, and they're already into the other bits of news, man. All right, so other news. Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon officially has a runtime, and it is a long one, coming in at 3 hours and 26 minutes. This movie will be in theaters in October, and then we'll be moving to Apple TV Plus after that, which means I'll have to see it in theaters because I ain't getting no Apple TV Plus. So 3 hours and 26 minutes. What a long film. I mean, it should be good. It's a Scorsese picture. It's got Leo DiCaprio in it. All signs point to it being an enjoyable film. But the question is 3 hours, man. Because I try to. The Batman was only 2 hours and 56 minutes. So I try to not have to get up from my seat at all when going to see a movie in theaters. So I make sure I use the loo, if you know what I mean, before going to see the movie itself and sitting down and all that stuff. That's gonna be one. But I do want to see it. It does seem like an interesting movie. Again, Leo's in it. Leo's one of those actors I try to see everything they do because he is one of my favorite actors. He's very freaking good. So see what happens there. Let's see. National Treasure: Edge of History has been canceled over at Disney Plus after one season. If you're a fan of the show, that is bad news for you. I'm going to be 100% completely honest with you here. Didn't even know it was out. I remember talking about the show was going to happen, that they were going to make it and all that stuff, but I do not even remember them announcing it, releasing. I don't remember seeing any marketing for it. And I follow a bunch of Disney pages. I used to be on a Disney podcast, and there's a bunch of Disney, pages that are still following, and I don't remember seeing anything about this, so I'm not surprised that it got canceled. I don't know what that says about the films that they're still planning on doing here. We'll see if that works out. But yeah, sad news, I guess. Let's see. Quote, "I'm done," says Scarlett Johansson. "The chapter is over. I did all that I had to do. Also, coming back and playing a character again and again over a decade at a time is such a unique experience," end quote. She's talking about Black Widow and being done playing the character. Now, of course, take this for a grain of salt because comic book movies will go either way with these things. Now, I think that's great. I don't need her back. It's not just her. I do not need Chris Evans back as Captain America. Let's, move forward. It's a very good possibility we see those characters again in Secret Wars or whatever. They've got their own issues they need to figure out right now with Jonathan Majors and everything. I'm not going there. Not going there. But they've got things to figure out there. But so we'll see if that gets pushed out further or not, as they may or may not have to recast or reshoot. They haven't even started shooting it. But we don't need to. I don't need to see them back. Their characters are no longer needed. They're no longer needed. Let's move. Let's just keep it moving forward. But again, Secret Wars or whatever could end up happening, and then we'll see how that go down. But I will be perfectly fine if they do not return. All right, and final bit of news here is a bit of a turn on the show, but I do try to review all kinds of things. I am review it. And normally my brother, Tombstone Josh, Metal Group Podcast, make sure you check it out. Always a good time there. He takes care of the music news, but this is music news that is very, very dear to my heart and dear to me in such a way that I felt like I needed to talk about it with all of you. This is big time, man. So, my all-time favorite band, bar none, love them forever, will love them forever, is Motley Crue. And they've got some interesting, fun, exciting things going on right now as they have announced that they're recording some new songs with new guitar player John Five as a part of the group. Now there is some, back behind the scenes shenanigans going on right now between Motley Crue and Mick Mars, who decided to retire from the band, decided to retire from touring, and all that good stuff. So whatever. I love Mick Mars. I will always love Mick Mars. He is a fantastic guitar player. One guitar player I've always considered to be one of the most underrated guitar players of all time. Sucks that they had to go this route, but at the same time, John Five is my all-time favorite guitar player, and I am so freaking excited that he is with my all-time favorite band now, and just hearing him working with them, and he's friends with all of them, so he's coming from Rob Zombie to working with Motley Crue. He's been doing that to, fill in as the guitar player for touring, and now it seems like he's very much part of the band as they're recording new songs and all that. So, very excited to hear all that, but also exciting stuff. Mentioned it earlier, the NFL draft is this week as they're recording this episode, and night 2 of the draft, April 28th. Motley Crue will be doing a concert there, man. That is right, Motley Crue live. Live, baby, during the NFL draft. That can be streamed on the NFL website, the NFL Facebook page, and NFL's YouTube channel, 10 p.m. Central Time. I am very excited for that. Again, I love Motley Crue, man. That's my band, dude. That's my band. Love that band. So excited for that. Love to see John Five rocking out on guitar. If you haven't watched John Five, do yourself a favor. Watch John Five. He's freaking incredible. So excited about that. Had to talk about that because that's some big news for me, and I like talking about stuff that I enjoy. So hopefully you enjoyed that as well. And that's it, man. That's pretty much all the stuff going on around the realms. Gave you my thoughts on 2 films this week. Definitely check out both of them. Let's see, all kinds of DC and horror talk. We'll have more for you about The Flash later this week, maybe. Again, trailer reaction. Hopefully this week we'll have that out for you as well. I will talk about it, of course, in mandatory DC news about what kind of reaction the film has received over at CinemaCon, as it will be underway until between next episode and all that. And hopefully I'll have another game stream up, man. Having a lot of fun doing the game streamings. I was able to do Lion King. Microphone did not work there. Figured out what the problem was. Fixed that. Did the 2-hour WWE stream. Gonna keep on having fun, man, and doing everything I can to add some content to that YouTube, man. Just having fun. That's what it's all about, It's not a work. It's about fun. And I'm having fun, man. And I hope that's coming through, and I hope y'all are having fun with me on the journey as well. So, as always, appreciate you taking the time to listen. Please like, subscribe, share the show and the network, all that good stuff. Rate the show. I think you can do that on Apple, wherever you can rate shows or whatever. I don't know how it works, but whatever you do to help the show, that is awesome. I love doing this show. Hope you love listening to it. Appreciate you all, man. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for all your time. Appreciate you all, and remember that happiness can always be found, even in the darkest of times, if one remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.